Jus4Sweetz here. So today I decided that I was going to do a little cleaning out of the pantry, and I have a lot of items that just have, like, you know, a few cookies, a few pretzels. So I decided to make something really fun for Halloween and for the upcoming holiday. And I put this all together and I made a Halloween candy bark. And it's just got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Sweet, salty, delicious. You're gonna love it. You can add your own touches to it. So let's get going and make this bark because I can't wait to have a piece of it. Okay, so this is just my way of cleaning out my pantry with all these things that are half open that need to be used. We're getting ready to go into the new season of baking and all that. So these are just like my leftovers that I haven't used up. And I figure what better way to do it than to create this Halloween bark that everybody can eat and enjoy, and it's sweet and it's salty. So these are the things that I have left over in my pantry. Now you can alter your ingredients if you like. I have some pretzel sticks and I'm going to crush those up a little bit. And I know I'm not the only one out there that ever goes shopping when it's hot outside, and then you come home to find your chocolate chips or whatever baking thing you have all melted together into one glob. And I held on to this because I'm like, I know I'll use it for something. Well, today is the perfect day to use this. And not only that, but it's orange, yellow, and brown. But it's in one big clump from being melted together and then cooling. So I'm going to break this up and put it inside of our bark. I have some microwave popcorn that I went ahead and popped. I have a bag of Heath toffee bits, and these are the ones covered in milk chocolate. And I thought I would use some of these up. We have some raw almonds here that we'll break up. I have peanut butter Oreos, which are going to go great with those peanut butter candies, and they're just half eaten, so I'm going to go ahead and crush up some of those. Now, those are all the items from my pantry that I need to use up and that I'm going to put in this delicious bark. Now, you could also throw gummies in there. I have some Halloween gummies. I thought about putting those in there. I might throw a few just for decoration. You can use a different kind of a nut. You can use peanuts. You can use pecans, walnuts. Take them out if you want to. You don't have to use any nuts at all if you have nut sensitive people. You can use potato chips, believe it or not, like the kettle cooked ones that are a little bit thicker. Just go through your pantry and rummage through and see what you can put inside of your bark. That's what's nice about a candy bark, is that you can put all kinds of ingredients. Now, my candy bark is going to be with white chocolate, so I have it in the bowl that I'm going to melt it in, and I just have a bag of white chocolate chips. And then I have about a tablespoon of vegetable shortening that I'm going to use to melt that. So let's get started. We're going to get these ingredients all together. Now, one thing you do need to do is you need to line some kind of cookie sheet or baking sheet with some parchment paper or wax paper. I've got mine ready to go. And we're going to get going on this. Okay, so I've taken all my loose ingredients and I've put them in individual baggies. So here's the almonds, the pretzels, the loose cookies that I had, and then the peanut butter candies that were all melted together. They're just in regular Ziploc baggies, and I'm going to use a meat mallet to break these up. It's much easier than getting out the cutting board and having to cut everything up by hand. So I like to make my job easy. You might want to put a board or something underneath you so you don't ruin your countertops. I'm doing mine straight on my countertop, so don't let my husband see this video. He'll get mad at me. But I've done it before. So anyway, you can use a hammer if need be. Definitely put some kind of cutting board or something underneath if you're using a hammer. This is a little bit lighter than that. We are not going to seal the bag because it will create air, and then as you're hitting it, it'll pop open the bag just like you would a potato chip bag. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead. I have it unsealed. I'm just going to kind of hold it so things don't fly everywhere. And you want to gently, with the flat side, start crushing up your almonds. Now you can make them as big or as little as you like. You could even perhaps keep them whole if you wanted to do that. Now if you're making this for a classroom, you might want to make it with nut-free items just because there's a lot of allergies to nuts. But if you're doing this for like a work party or just to set out in your house, I love nuts and chocolate together, so I will probably end up taking mine to work tomorrow for the girls to eat. Okay, so we've broken up the almonds. That's about the size pieces I want. I'm just kind of going through to make sure I got them all. Okay, so then we have our almonds. Next we'll do our pretzels. Make sure it's not sealed. These don't take as much work because you kind of want some pieces of the pretzel so you can taste the salt in there. So there's our pretzel pieces. Then we have our chocolate sandwich cookies, and these have peanut butter filling. And these were just kind of like broken up in the bag. No one was eating them. They've been sitting in my pantry. I'm tired of looking at them. So I figured I could create something with them because you don't want to waste food and throw it away. So we're going to crush these up. I think that's pretty good. Now we've got the cookie pieces. And last but certainly not least, the peanut butter candies, which might be a little bit more challenging. So we're going to hit these a little bit harder. But you can see that it breaks apart nicely. And I'm not using cheap dollar store baggies. Now, I'm not opposed to buying dollar store baggies. I do it all the time. However, excuse me, they tend to be a little bit thinner. And so I'm using the Ziploc brand baggie. Now, I mean, you could use like a store brand baggie. Those are a little bit thicker. But I'm just worried that if they're too thin that they'll break right through. I've had that happen just like that just happened. Okay. So we're going to go ahead, I'm going to hold that together, and that's pretty good because I don't want these broken up into 1,000 pieces, and I should probably bloop that out, but I'm not going to, so I'm just going to put it inside another baggie since I made a mess with this one. As I was telling you not to use cheap baggies, I'm using a good one and still popped it open. So anyway, let's get going and we'll start getting these ingredients together. So we have our baking dish like I showed you prior, already ready to go. I am now going to melt the chocolate chips, so I have a bag of white chocolate chips. I'm going to melt approximately half at a time. That way we're not wasting. You know, if you overdo it, I have something that fell out of there. Okay. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm just going to go for it and use the whole darn bag. Okay, so we're using white chocolate chips because we want to see those pretty colors through it. I'm also going to use my tablespoon of vegetable shortening. Now you have two ways you can do this. You can do this over a double boiler just until it melts and you just keep stirring and it makes it nice and satiny and silky. I'm actually going to do mine in the microwave, and I do this on 30-second intervals, stirring in between each because as it starts to melt, if you overcook it, it'll bind together really bad. And the only way I found that you can even separate that is to add more shortening and just mix it in there. Don't melt it, just mix it in there. So I do 30-second intervals. That's very important if you're doing it in the microwave. And once the chips are almost completely melted, I don't heat it up anymore. I just stir until everything's thoroughly melted. So I'm going to get going on that. We're going to go ahead and stick this in the microwave. Now, my very first time, I usually do 1 minute because everything is solid. And then after that, it's 30-second intervals. Now, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to start spreading out our snacks. Now, here's our microwave popcorn. And I kind of just put it on there because I want to make sure that there's room for everything else. So there's our popcorn. You can add more or less of anything. We have our peanut butter candies. We're going to go ahead and stick those in there. Who does not like chocolate and peanut butter together? That's the best to me. Plus all the saltiness of everything else. We're then going to add all of our pretzel pieces that I got together here. This sweet and salty combination is amazing. So there's all of our pretzel pieces. I love getting chocolate covered pretzels for Christmas and the holidays. People give those to me as gifts, and I absolutely love them. Here goes our almonds. So we're going to go ahead and spread those almonds in there. You can kind of get a hint of what this is all going to look like. All right, spread those almonds. White chocolate tends to be pretty sweet. So these nice salty snacks that we're putting in here are going to help balance out that flavor. Now we're going to add our Oreos, or our sandwich cookies, I should say. And whatever I don't use of these, I'm just going to keep. And I'll use them to make an Oreo crust for the holidays. Put it over ice cream. Put it in a milkshake. Don't throw those away. When you get to the bottom of the barrel and you've got a bunch of crumbs, throw them in a baggie and save them. You'll use them for something. Okay. Now we have our toffee pieces, and I'm just going to go ahead and just sprinkle some of those in there. And I did get out the gummies. I thought that that would be really fun, and I'm going to put those over the top after, well, you know what, I think I'll put one in, and then I'll sprinkle some on the top after I get the white chocolate in. So we'll just kind of throw a few of them in there. Those will be like the surprise gummies. It's like the surprise in the middle of a Cracker Jack box. I don't know. Okay, I'm throwing a little bit more popcorn in there just because I want to make a little bit more saltiness with all this sweet. All right. So we used approximately 1 cup of popcorn. So you've got your tray all ready to go. I'm going to show you what the chocolate chips look like after 1 minute. You can see that the shortening is almost melted. So I'm going to continue to do this on 30-second intervals, and we will be right back. Okay, so this is kind of the consistency I was talking about. You can still see the lumps in there, and all you're going to do, don't mind the black, that's the Oreo crumbs. You're just going to keep stirring until that's nice and silky smooth. It's definitely going to take that whole bag of chocolate chips, so just go ahead and throw the whole thing in there. Now, one thing I did decide to do while this chocolate was melting, and I didn't have you on camera, is I decided to go ahead and take that mixture that I made and I put it all into a bowl, because if I poured the chocolate over it, not everything was going to get coated very well. So I wanted to go ahead and pour it all in a bowl, and then we'll slowly add it to our chocolate, and then we will go ahead and pour it onto the baking sheet. So I apologize. I will put that down in the comments below the picture so that you know that I went ahead and put it all in a bowl. Now, another ingredient that would be really good with this that you might want to add is some mini marshmallows. I don't have any as of right now, so I'm not going to add those to it, but marshmallows will be fantastic in this recipe. So I am going to go ahead and take my chocolate that's all melted and ready to go, and I'm going to slowly pour in all those delicious ingredients. Now I'm only going to do about half, and we're going to see how much it coats it. And you just want to fold it in because you don't want to overdo it. You have no idea how yummy this is and how much people are going to be begging you for more. Okay, so that's coating that pretty nicely. I'm still not going to add the rest of it. I'm just going to add another handful, because if you mix too much, you can always melt another thing of white chocolate, right? Okay. But you want it to be, you know, everything coated and covered, and then have a nice bark consistency. So out of everything I put in that pan, that's exactly why I went ahead and took it all out. You know, I'm not using all of it because I don't really want to add much more, because then there won't be enough of that chocolate flavor. Now don't get, you know, crazy if the Oreos start melting in with the chocolate. That's okay. Okay. So that's about all I'm going to make out of that concoction of mine. I'm going to add just a little bit more of the saltiness. Just a little bit. Coat it one more time. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that right onto our parchment paper. And you want to use a rubber spatula to do this, because you're going to want to scrape out all that goodness. Now just lightly press this into the pan. This is no bake, so it's easy to do. Another thing this would be really fun for is like a cookie exchange party at Christmas time. Just change it up a little bit. Add, you know, you can use those Chinese chow mein noodles, the crunchy ones. Add red and green M&Ms so that it looks Christmassy. You can do all sorts of stuff. Okay, so I'm just spreading this out. Now you can see it didn't make the whole pan. There's a big chunk of that peanut butter candy. I don't want that in there, so I'm going to add a little bit more of my crunchy stuff here. Just kind of mix it in. All right. So just spread that on there, onto this sheet. It doesn't have to be perfect, because all you're going to do is cut it or break it apart anyway. Now, if you want to, you can drop this into rounded little spoonfuls I'm just going to kind of place it on here and make sure everything's just kind of stuck together. Because as that chocolate melts, it sets and everything ends up together. All right, so we've got it pretty well on there. We're going to let that set up, but before we do, I want to incorporate, I have some of those Halloween gummies in there, but I want to add a few more just for decoration. So I got these, they're organic gummies that I got at Costco, and they're all Halloween, cats and owls and mummies. So I'm going to kind of just place those in there. There's a pumpkin right on top, just for something fun. Of course, I didn't get a very colorful bag, did I? I got a bunch of the same color. Oh well. Okay, so those are on there. We're going to let that set up. After it sets up, we'll come back and I'll show you what to do. Okay, so this is completely set and ready to go. Now, if you want to, you can put it in the fridge or the freezer and it'll set up a lot faster. I let mine set up on the counter and then I stuck it in the freezer for about 5 minutes. So I am going to use a cutting board for this. And you can see it comes out in one sheet. I did throw some of my dry ingredients over the top as it was setting up. So let's put that to the side. And it usually will form right off, come right off of your parchment or wax paper. You can see that peels right off. That's what makes it really nice. So there is our Halloween bark. Now what we're going to do is I have a knife and I'm just going to go ahead and, it doesn't have to be perfect. It'll break off in pieces or you can do it in bars, however you want. So I'm kind of just chopping through it. Okay. And like I said, kids love this. This is great for Halloween parties, good for snacks, for a work party, potluck, whatever you want. So you just kind of break these pieces up. Now you can do it, you know, you can just break them like that because they should start falling apart. Or you can cut them. And there's no rhyme or reason to what the bark should look like. Bark tends to have different shapes. You can cut it a little bit more uniform if you want to make bigger pieces, but it is fairly sweet, so you probably don't want super huge pieces of it. And I kind of just like to make all different sizes. And as you cut it or break it, just kind of put it to the side. Make some different shaped. Okay, so I have this all cut up and ready to go. You see how easy that is. This is something you can whip out really quickly. So what I did is I went ahead and kind of put these to the side if I can. And all the little extra pieces, guess what? You get to snack on those and try your little treat. Okay, so I'm going to push some of this to the side. Now you can save all this, put it back in the bowl with all the leftover things you didn't use and use it in your next batch. All right. So what I did is, if you have it ready for a party, I got these little Halloween cupcake holders. And you can go ahead and you can stick a couple pieces of bark into each one. There's 3 big ones, and then maybe we'll put a smaller one in with it. There's a smaller one. And these are just like really nice serving sizes of it. So you can place them on a plate just like that, or put them in a cupcake holder and display them that way, and then everybody can just pick them up and eat them. And then the other way I have is I got these really cute baggies at Michael's, our craft store, and they're already Halloween decorated. So if this is like for a classroom party or whatever, just make your bark and throw a couple pieces into a baggie. This would also be really great for like a school bake sale or a craft show. So then we place a few, my arm in the way, sorry, into these baggies. And they're already decorated for you and really cute. Now this one is green, so you don't see it as much. So I think I want to prefer and stay with the one where you can actually see the bark. So this is my idea for Halloween bark and how to use things up in your pantry. This is kind of my Food 911 series that I used to do. And this is obviously, you know, all your dry ingredients. So it's really fun to get creative and to make things with your kids. This is something that is very kid friendly that you could do. And like I said, serve it at a party, potluck, or a school function. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get to test it out with different kinds of snacks, all your favorite ones. And make them sweet and salty to make it extra good. Until next time, next video, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Subscribe to my channel if you're not a subscriber. We do a lot of fun things on here, arts, crafts, cooking, as well as you get to share in my family videos because I record those for people that are not here to see the kids and our family functions. So I hope you join my channel. Until next time, next video, have a wonderful day. God bless. Okay, so this is how I crush my items up that makes it super easy on me without having to get a knife and a cutting board and cut everything. All you need is a meat mallet. You could use a hammer even if you like. And I have all the things that were kind of loose that I needed to use up. I put them in baggies. Now you can use as many as you want. I put them in individual baggies. Here's my big glob of peanut butter chips. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the almonds, and I kind of let a little hole in the top so the air can get in. And then you just take your mallet, not on the sharp side, but on the smooth side. Whoop, and then they popped out of the bag. Whoop.